Good. Okay, so I guess we're good to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 7 o'clock, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. Does anyone have any written disclosure of pecuniary conflict of interest? Councillor Croft?
No, I don't.
Councillor Shipham?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. Our next item on the agenda is petitions and delegations. Tonight we have Mr. Dean Grant. He has a statement that he's provided to us concerning council vacancies that he wants to read for us. Mr. Grant?
Thank you, Mayor Pennell. Can I just test my audio here?
Pardon me?
Hear you.
Is my audio working?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. Dear Mayor and remaining councillors, I have written this letter after learning of the resignation of Councillor Olmsted and Councillor Maxwell. The community has been following the developments of council after hearing about the resignation of myself, Councillor Grant, some months ago. As it stands, council only has 2 elected candidates on it, which means 3 out of the 4 councillors, 75% of elected councillors, have resigned council citing work conditions. Although council has not chosen to engage in the community Facebook page Calvin Combo, it remains to be a cornerstone of the community when it comes to sharing information and opinions of the community. While council has chosen not to engage in the Facebook page, it does not negate its value to the members of the page and the community itself. A recent poll was posted to the Facebook page asking residents if they felt what they felt was the best next steps for municipal government. At the time this was written, there were 60 participants. 95% of the respondents chose, quote, they should call an election of the entire council and mayor, end quote. 5% of the respondents chose, quote, at least a by-election for the empty seats, end quote. 0% of the respondents chose, quote, continue and allow current councillors to appoint more councillors as they see fit. The intention of my letter is to inform councillors of the wishes of their constituents. While not a formal communication, it is nonetheless an avenue for residents to voice their opinions. Further, should council choose to ignore the thoughts of these ratepayers, I'm confident they will not forget election time. As it stands, if council was to appoint 2 more councillors, we would be left with an elected council of 2 elected officials and 3 appointed officials, giving the opportunity for non-elected officials to make critical decisions in our community. This would disturb the balance of democracy and order in our community. Do democratic principles matter? Will council stand with the 57 ratepayers in supporting an election to uphold the right ratepayers have to be represented by a council they elect and not one selected for them? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. We're going to answer those questions for you later. Okay. So we'll move on to next item on the agenda.
No questions, Mayor Pennell? Sorry, there's no questions?
No, there's no questions.
Oh,
Thank
okay,
you.
thank you.
We'll move on to next item on the agenda. There's reports from municipal officers. First, we have a report from Dean Maxwell, our fire chief. Dean, can you provide your report for us, please?
Yeah, can you hear me clear?
Yeah.
All right, so for the month of October, we had 2 calls. On October the 6th, we had an MVC on Highway 17 just in front of Champlain Park. Luckily, it wasn't a fatality. It was a motorcycle versus a motorhome. The guy was shipped to Mattawa and treated with minor injuries. On October 8th, we had a car fire at 1662 Highway 630. The car caught fire Electrical fire, it seems to be, we have seen a large increase in car fires this year. I think this is like the 8th one we've had this year. We showed up on scene with a pumper. We had it out, knocked down within 20 minutes. But due to the stubbornness of the fuel tank, the plastic fuel tanks we're having, which we've been running into lots, it was a really stubborn fire to put out. We were there for a little over an hour. On October 7th for the meeting nights, we did backboarding, reviewed the backboarding. Renee went through it with all the guys and our new spider straps that we have for backboards. On October 14th, we did, I was away actually that day, so Jacob Grove actually attended the meeting, and he was one that ran the meeting for me. So they did driver training, and they took our breathing apparatus bottles over to Papineau to be filled to keep our cascade system topped up. On October 21st, we installed new marker lights on PT2, and we did some upgrades to our cascade system when we had, last time we had our guy up here looking at our system. We just replaced some, we had bungee cords holding them to the wall, and it doesn't comply with fire standards. So they said that they would actually burn and the 100-pounders could fall over. So we replaced everything with chain now. So everything has a chain on it. So it's just a little thing, but it's one thing that we need to keep compliant with. On October 28th, we did some work at the fire hall here just to make room for a new pumper. We had to move our new pumper is quite a bit longer than the other ones. We had to move some cabinets in the back so we can get some more room made for our new truck. And we also did, we handed out some smoke alarms that we had for the month of October. We handed them out to the residents on Morrow Road. And we chose that road because it's the farthest from the fire hall right now. And that way, if they ever did have an incident, that they'd be alarmed right away and would give us that much more time to respond. And fleet status, our trucks all went for their safeties this month. PT1 had one brake chamber changed on it, and it needed just a few little things, but it passed pretty well with no issues. PT2 and rescue had passed through safeties with no problems at all. And for my chief's report, we did the Mattawa Christmas Parade as a goal for this year. We just had a meeting last Friday. So we're hoping to attend that with probably 6 or 7 guys, whoever we want to go with. But so this year they got the Santa Claus. They're actually changing it now. It's called the Firefighters Parade of Lights. And we're doing it more in conjunction with all the fire departments. We're working with Mattawa as well on that. So this year it should be a good show. We're hoping to see everybody out there. And that's pretty well all I have for tonight.
When is that, Dean?
December 4th.
December 4th?
Yeah, December 4th, which is a Saturday. They changed it from a Friday night to a Saturday night.
Okay.
They're trying a few new things there, and we actually changed the route up this year as well. That it's going to go by the new nursing home in Mattawa, by the Mattawa Hospital there. So they call that Champlain Street, I believe. But anyway, so it'll be a little bit longer. There's going to be a new route, and they've got the blessing from the North Bay Health Unit. So we just had to find out what we were able to do and what we can't do. So, but it's hopefully it'll be a good show, and looking forward to it.
I noticed in your October 21 meeting night, it said updates to the cascade system. So
Yeah.
Cascade to me means one to the next, to the next, to the next.
Yeah.
What is it, cascade?
Okay, so
What is-
that's how we fill up our BA bottles, our breathing apparatus bottles. We have the
Okay.
cascade system here. So that's what I was
Okay.
talking about a while ago. So I have in total, 6 bottles that are 2,300 PSI bottles. And then we have 2 4,500 bottles, which are 4,500 PSIs. So they're like 100-pounders. And so that's how we fill up our bottles. So we start at like bottle number 1, and we move down the line till we get to number 7, right? So last time we had TransCanada Safety came in, and they were just pointing out some safety issues that we had, and they corrected most of them. And he said that in the future, just have those bungee, like I said, we just had them bungee cord to the wall.
Yeah.
They've been like that forever, but he just said, you know what, get them chained up so it's more safe. So we did got that taken care of their last meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
Councillor Cross or Councillor Shipman, any questions? No?
No questions.
No questions.
Thanks very much, Dean.
all right, thanks.
Next item on the agenda is an update from Jacob Grove, our recreational landfill and cemetery person.
Hello.
Jacob, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So for recreation, the grass cutting is done for the season. And now that we've completed the fall cleanup at the cemetery, we're planning on working, cleaning up the lawn tractors and the whippersnippers, getting them ready for winter storage. The part to repair the furnace is expected to come in today. So they've scheduled us for the repair work to be done tomorrow. So hopefully the furnace and the hot water will be back up and running in the community center after that. The playground has received its annual inspection. And once I receive the report on that, I will share that information with council. On October 13th, the community center received its annual inspection by the health unit, and it had passed. For landfill, we've ordered and received all the oil and filters to do the fall servicing on the compactor truck to get it ready for winter. This year, we also decided to replace the batteries, as the batteries were getting weak last winter. So we've received them and put the new batteries in the compactor truck. The fall well monitoring was completed on October 26th. And our well monitoring contract is up at the end of this year. So I contacted the company that we currently have doing the well monitoring to get pricings on them if council wished to renew the contract with them as we had done in the past. This year, or this contract, it increased by 54%. So I want to know if council wants to go ahead with renewing the contract, or if we want to go out for tender on that. And then for cemetery, the fall cleanup has been completed, and we have one burial scheduled for November 14th. For municipal enforcement, we had one call. I've also received another call with regards to dogs running, and the person that was making the complaint had asked if there was anything that we could do to make the bylaws more stricter to help with repeat offense dogs. So I'd like council, if you could think about it, and I would like in the next council report to attach the bylaw to report to review to see if there are some things that we can do in it to maybe help out with some of these repeat areas that we've been having problems with dogs. Are there any questions about the report?
Councillor Cross?
No, I don't see any questions. Thank you.
Councillor Shipman?
Jacob, I was just wondering if there are, like, how many other companies are out there for the well monitoring?
I don't know locally how many there are. I'm sure there's probably several throughout Ontario, but what distance they'd have to travel to come here, I'm not sure.
Right, and what the cost would be for that as well.
Anything further, Councillor Shipman? Might be froze up.
Am I back now?
Okay.
No further questions.
Okay, thank you. Personally, I think that we have to be diligent and go out and see, like 54% is a substantial increase. So we need to at least go out and check and see what's available to us. Maybe we're going to be forced to go with this company, but we just need to be sure that we're making the right decision. Okay? It's something that we're required to do, so that would be my suggestion.
Okay. Yeah, so for the next council meeting, also try and prepare a resolution to go forward with tendering then.
Okay, thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda is a report from Shane Conrad, our chief building official, and it's a written report as usual. Looks like 2 more building permits issued, but maybe 1 just picked up. I think it's pretty straightforward. Next item on the agenda is reports from the committees, and we don't have any this evening. Next item on the agenda, number 6, is action letters. And the first item there is a resolution to the resignation of Councillor Dan Maxwell. Do you have that resolution, Cindy? I'm going to need a mover and a seconder for this one, please. Councillor Cross, can you move this one?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Shipman, can you second it?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So we have a resolution moved by Councillor Cross, seconded by Councillor Shipman, that the Council of Municipality of Calvin hereby accepts Councillor Dan Maxwell's resignation dated Tuesday, October 26, 2021. Any discussion, Councillor Shipman?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. Councillor Cross?
Yes, I do. I'm apprehensive to support this resolution. At no time did council ask Councillor Maxwell to resign. Each time Councillor Maxwell was reminded of his comments that were inappropriate, he would respond with, "I will try to work harder to be a better councillor," that he doesn't take these things personally. Council doesn't always have to agree with each other. In fact, it's better that there are differences of opinions. It brings out good discussions. Everyone brings something to the table, but instead, Councillor Maxwell chooses to walk away. I wish he made a different decision. I believe that working towards being a better councillor at the end is better choice. Now, instead, he doesn't have the opportunity to give a better opportunity to do what he said he was going to do. So for these reasons, I don't accept Councillor Maxwell's resignation.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to call this resolution to a vote on to accept Councillor Dan Maxwell's resignation. So, Councillor Shipman, do you vote yes or no to accept the resignation?
I think she's frozen.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay. Councillor Cross, for the record, do you vote
No.
yes or no? I
No.
vote yes. So, 2 votes yes, 1 vote no. This resolution is carried. Thank you. next item on the agenda is minutes of the council meeting. We have to adopt the minutes of the Tuesday, October 26th, 2021 council meeting. So there's a resolution for that as well. So I'll need a mover and a seconder for that resolution. Councillor Shipman, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Cross, can you second this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So we have this resolution moved by Councillor Shipman, seconded by Councillor Cross, that the minutes of the regular meeting of the council held on Tuesday, October 26, 2021 be hereby adopted, signed as circulated. Any discussion, Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Councillor Shipman? Hello, Councillor Shipman?
No discussion.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to call this vote then. Councillor Cross, do you vote to accept the minutes of the Tuesday, October 26, 2021 meeting?
Yes.
Councillor Shipman, do you vote to accept these minutes?
Yes.
Thank you. And I do as well. So this resolution is carried as well. Thank you. Okay. Next item on the agenda, okay, is item number C. And I'll need a mover and a seconder for this too. It is a declaration of council seat vacancy. Can I get a mover? Councillor Cross, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. And Councillor Shipman, can you second this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So we have this resolution moved by Councillor Cross and seconded by Councillor Shipman. That council hereby declares two council seats vacant as per the Municipal Act 2001, Chapter 25, Section 259(1)D, due to the resignation of Councillor Heather Olmsted from her position as councillor and Councillor Dan Maxwell from his position as councillor for the Corporation of South Calvin under Section 261 of the Municipal Act 2001, SO 2001, Chapter 25. Any discussion on this one? Councillor Shipman.
No discussion.
Councillor Cross.
No discussion.
Okay, so I'm going to call this one to a vote to declare these seats vacant. Councillor Cross, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Councillor Shipman, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. So this resolution is carried. Thank you. So our next item on the agenda is a report from the clerk treasurer concerning office of councillor vacancy. Are you going to speak to that, Cindy?
If council has any questions, essentially it's just the two seats have now been declared vacant, and we now need to fill them. Council has options on how they can fill them. There essentially is three different options. They can fill it with a by-election. They can fill it with calling up people from the previous, the 2018 election, or they can send requests out for applicants to fill the vacancy. This works so close to an election next year. It's approximately 11 months away. It's the recommendation of staff that we don't have a by-election because it would cost a significant amount of money, as well as time, staff time. And if we're going to have another election again in 11 months, I'm not sure the cost would be worth it, especially considering many of the statistics indicate that by-elections do not get anywhere close to the same amount of voters out as they do for regular elections. So it's the recommendation that council considers appointing through an application process, or if there's no applications, then you can appoint someone known. But staff would recommend that we do it through an application process first, versus appointing somebody. Also, I would just like to remind council that in March, sorry, I think it was passed in May, not March, there was a policy, a council vacancy policy that we also have to abide by.
Okay. Anything further, Cindy?
No, that's it, unless council has questions.
Councillor Shippen, any questions?
No, no questions.
Okay. Councillor Cross?
No questions.
Okay. Have you considered which option you would like to pursue, Councillor Cross?
Yes, I'd like to consider the application process.
Okay. Councillor Shippen?
Yes, I'd like to do the application process as well.
Okay. And I would as well. I think that we should move ahead that way, ask for applications and then do interviews and select our candidates of choice. Okay. So I'll need a mover and a seconder for this one, please, this resolution. So Councillor Shippen, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. And Councillor Cross, can you second this one, please?
Yes.
Thank you. So this resolution moved by Councillor Shippen, seconded by Councillor Cross, that council has declared 2 seats vacant at council at the regular meeting of November the 9th, as per the Municipal Act 2001, Chapter 25, Section 259, 1D. As a result of Ms. Heather Olmsted and Mr. Dan Maxwell resigning from their positions as members of council, and further, that the Municipal Act 2001, Chapter 25, Section 263, 5 provides that rules for filling vacancies, and further, that as per the Municipal Act 2001, Chapter 25, Section 263, 5 L.I., council hereby resolves that it will fill the vacancy by appointing a person who has consented to accept the office if appointed, and that the appointment will move to a call for expression of interest from those qualified to hold the office as member of council in the municipality of Caledon, followed by an interview by council of those submissions qualified, followed by the final selection after those interviews at the sole discretion and decision of council. Any discussion on that, Councillor Shippen?
Well, Mr. Grant's letter would like us to believe that it is the wishes of our constituents based on a Facebook poll. It should also be noted that this poll only had 40 or 60 respondents that may or may not be ratepayers, and based on the latest census report, these respondents would only represent 14.5% of the constituents. Further, should council act on such a small percentage, would be doing a disservice to the township as a whole. As council is elected by the ratepayers to represent the whole of the township, and the elected representatives chose a replacement councillor by a vote of 3-1, following the steps laid out in the council vacancy policy, the position was filled based on what your duly elected representatives decided on and voted on, just as will happen in this case. The democratic process would be fulfilled as the township representatives would make a decision for the township, and it will be for the whole township and not just a few within the township.
Thank you, Councillor Shipman. Councillor Cross, do you have anything to add?
No, Councillor Shipman was well worded there.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to call this resolution to a vote. Councillor Shipman, how do you wish to proceed? Yes or no?
Yes.
Councillor Cross, how do you wish to proceed? Yes or no?
Yes.
I wish to proceed in this manner as well. So this resolution is carried. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a submission by Councillor Cross. Item F. Do you want to speak to this, Councillor Cross? Oh, I'll need to move in a second here, please. So, Councillor Cross, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Okay, and Councillor Shipman, can you second it, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So, Councillor Cross, do you wish to speak to this?
Well, in the previous meeting, I had made a motion that I'd be bringing this forward. Yeah, I think it's important that we strive to try to get out of being levied through our weighted assessment, especially because of Castleholm. They have us in with the Schedule 4, which basically says that we have to pay accordingly to our weighted assessment, and which is truly unfair for our small municipality to be able to bear. So I'm hoping that everybody will approve the solution, and we can continue to try to fight to be treated in a different manner with how we pay with our small ratepayer.
Okay, thank you. Anything to add, Councillor Shipman?
No, I agree with Councillor Cross. We need to be able to either get out from under Castleholm or be taxed fairly, and the weighted assessment does not do that for our township.
Right. It's also the same for Social Services Administration Board. We've tried a couple times for them to change their mind, but they stay steadfast in that respect. So I'm going to call for a vote on to move forward with this. Councillor Shipman, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Councillor Cross, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So thank you all. Okay, so next item on the agenda is item number G, and it's a agreement with the North Main District Humane Society. We're going to do the first and second readings tonight. So I'll need a mover and a seconder for the first reading. So Councillor Shipman, can you move the first reading, please?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Cross, can you move the second reading, please?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So we have this first reading, moved by Councillor Shipman, second by Councillor Cross, being a bylaw to renew an agreement between the North Bay and District Humane Society and Corporation of Municipality of Calvin for the duration of January 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2022, and be received and read the first time. Any discussion, Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Councillor Shipman?
No discussion.
Okay. Let's call this first reading to a vote. Do you vote to accept the first reading, Councillor Cross?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Councillor Shipman?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and I vote yes as well. So the first reading is carried. So I'll need a mover and a seconder for the second reading as well. So Councillor Cross, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So the second reading is moved by Councillor Cross and seconded by Councillor Shipman. Any discussion on the second reading, Councillor Shipman?
No discussion.
Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Okay, so I'm going to call the second reading to a vote. Do you agree with the second reading and move ahead with it? Councillor Cross?
Yes.
Councillor Shipman?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. So the second reading of this bylaw to renew the agreement between the North Bay District Humane Society and Corporation of the Calvin for the duration of January 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2022 is passed. Thank you. Okay. Next item on the agenda is item H. It's to confirm proceedings of council from July to September. We've already passed the first and second reading, so this one will be for the third reading. So I'm going to need a mover for the third reading. Councillor Shipman, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Cross, you second it, please?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So third reading, moved by Councillor Shipman, second by Councillor Cross. This is a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council from July 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2021, as reported by Committee of the Whole, to be read a third time, passing number 2021-031, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the clerk, seal with the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. Any discussion on this? Councillor Shipman?
No discussion.
Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Okay, I'm going to call this one for a vote. Do you agree with the third reading, Councillor Cross?
Yes, I do.
Are you in favor of the third reading, Councillor Shipman?
Yes.
And I am as well. So the third reading is carried. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is item I, and it's a report from the clerk treasurer of the emergency control group meeting that we had on October the 20th, 2021. Is there anything in there that anyone would like to discuss? Councillor Shipman?
No discussion.
Councillor Cross?
No, I didn't see anything.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor
We'll
Pennell?
move on to the next item on the agenda. Next item on the agenda is a resolution, excuse me, to do with Council.
Cindy said-
What?
Cindy had called your attention.
It's okay, I'll just bring it up with the vaccination policy. Fine.
Okay, all right. Okay, so, sorry about that. Okay, so this one is, council meeting in December, so I'm gonna need a mover and a seconder for this. Councilor Cross, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. And Councilor Shipman, can you second it, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So we have this resolution moved by Councilor Cross and seconded by Councilor Shipman, that council has approved for the month of December 21, there will be a strategic council meeting on Tuesday, September the 7th, to discuss the strategic plan and the possible property standards bylaw. And there will be one regular council meeting on Tuesday, December the 14th, 2021. Any discussion? Councilor Cross?
No discussion.
Councilor Shipham?
No discussion.
Okay. So I'm going to call for a vote to approve the meeting dates in December. Councilor Cross, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Councilor Shipman, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So this resolution is carried. Thank you very much. So the next item on the agenda is a resolution to declare the fire truck surplus. So I'm going to need a mover and a seconder for this resolution, please. Councilor Shipman, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. And Councilor Cross, can you second this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So we have this resolution moved by Councilor Shipman and seconded by Councilor Cross. Whereas Municipality of Calvin recently purchased a used fire truck to replace the old one that is rapidly declining, and whereas the 1985 GMC Brigadier truck has been taken out of service to the Municipality of Calvin, now be it resolved, therefore resolved, that the Council hereby declares the 1985 GMC Brigadier truck VIN 519273 to be surplus to the further needs of the municipality, and hereby authorizes the fire chief, the road superintendent, and the clerk treasurer to then offer this vehicle or any of its parts for sale at best offer. Any discussion? Councilor Shipham.
No discussion.
Councilor Cross.
I did have a question, but I see Dean is not here any longer. I'm just curious to know, does he have a minimum amount in mind for what he would get versus if he was to take it in for scrap? I mean, I don't know what you get per pound for scrap. But he's not here to answer that question, so,
I
okay.
can ask him and
No.
come back to council at the next council meeting.
It's okay. I'm sure he's gonna make sure that he's gonna get more. Otherwise, he would go to the scrapyard, right? So I was just curious to know that answer. That
Okay. So you're satisfied with this then, Councilor Cross?
yes, I'm satisfied.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to bring this to a vote, please. Do you vote to proceed with declaring the fire truck excess? Councilor Shipman?
Yes.
Councilor Cross?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So this resolution is carried. Next item on the agenda is item L. It's a report from the clerk treasurer. It's 2021 CT 58. Report to council. It's an update on the road use agreement for Kevin and Cindy Grant. Will you be providing an update, Cindy?
Essentially, I've gotten minimal answers to the questions that were asked by various sources, the public, council from the last council meeting, staff, etc. The one piece of information that was provided was that it probably would not be a good idea to have the same people responsible for the same sections of road, but how we can work out how that will be played out in a road agreement. And you know, the concern would be if that one person that's responsible is away for a little while and doesn't plow the road, then what happens, those types of things. So there's different scenarios and questions that need to be answered before I would suggest to council that we move forward with this road agreement. And so that's what my recommendation is, to defer any further readings of the road use agreement for Kevin and Cindy Grant until we have some answers to some of these questions.
Okay. So you're recommending then we wait for solicitor input before we talk about this further?
Yes.
Okay. Are you in agreement to that, Councillor Shippen?
Yes.
Councillor Croft?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll do that then. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item M, and it's a donation request, Royal Canadian Legion. So we have a resolution in front of us. I'll need a mover and a seconder for that, please. So Councillor Cross, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Shippen, can you second it?
Yes, I can.
So we have this resolution moved by Councillor Cross, seconded by Councillor Shippen, that the Council of Municipality of Calvin would like to recognize the substantial contributions that veterans and those currently serving our country have made and continue to make to our lives and freedom. Therefore, be it resolved that the Municipality of Calvin would like to make a $40 donation to the Royal Canadian Legion Poppy Fund for the wreath to be laid during the virtual Remembrance Day celebration on Thursday, November 11th, 2021. Any discussion, Councillor Cross?
I'm in agreement with this, and that I've been able to arrange my schedule so that I'd be able to be there to present the wreath.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Shippen?
No discussion.
Okay. So I'm going to call this for a vote. Okay, so can we proceed with this? Councillor Cross? Yes or no?
Yes.
Councillor Shippen?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So this resolution is carried. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is item N, and it's a support letter for cannabis production and processing facilities. So I'll need a mover and a seconder for this. This was brought up at our last meeting, and suggest that we bring it back to support it. So I'll need a mover and a seconder. So, Councillor Shippen, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. And Councillor Cross, can you second it, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So we have this resolution moved by Councillor Shipman, second by Councillor Croft. Be it resolved that Municipality of Calvin supports the Township of Enniskillen letter to the Federal Minister of Agriculture and Rural Affairs and the Provincial Minister of Agriculture and Rural Affairs requesting that the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Affairs reevaluate their position that cannabis is not an agricultural product such as food, fur, and fiber, but is in fact industrial, commercial in nature. That the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Affairs supports all Ontario municipalities to be able to determine appropriate setbacks and zoning bylaws as appropriate for the municipality for the placement of cannabis facilities within their official plans, knowing full well that one size does not fit all. Further, that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Township of Enniskillen, the Honourable Marie Claire Thibault, Federal Minister of Agriculture and Rural Affairs, the Honourable Lisa Thompson, Provincial Minister of Agriculture and Rural Affairs. Any discussion? Councillor Shipman.
No discussion.
Councillor Cross.
No discussion.
Okay, so we'll call for a vote. This is a resolution then. Councillor Shipman, do you vote to proceed with this resolution?
Yes, I do.
And Councillor Cross?
Yes, I do.
And I vote yes as well. So this resolution is also carried. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is O. It's a report from the clerk treasurer. It's 2021-2260, and it's concerning advertising in our newsletter. It's just just a discussion on how we would like to proceed with this. There's a number of interesting items in here about going electronic on January 22nd and not having any more sent out. But there are some charges in there for that as well. So I'll open up for discussion. Councillor Shipman, you have anything you'd like to offer?
Well, I just have a question, or one question for Cindy right now. When we go electronic, will we still be doing some mail-outs for people that don't have electronic capability, or no?
Yes, we have been advertising in the newsletter for August, September. It was not in October because there was too many other things. It will be in November's, requesting that anyone who would like a paper copy contact the municipal office, and we will put them down on a list to mail them out a copy of the newsletter.
Okay, so then I think that we should probably, for however many that we're mailing out, charge 30 cents a page or whatever for the advertisement to be mailed out. I also believe that the advertisement should be fully prepared when it comes to us, and it should be a month prior to when they want it to go out so that both parties can agree on the content before it's actually put into the newsletter, and that it should only be a half a page.
Are you, can I ask a question of you, Councillor Shipman?
Sure.
Are you saying that they would do all the printing and supply us with the final product, or we would charge them to print?
We would charge them to print,
Okay.
or however many copies need to be mailed.
Okay. Councillor Cross?
I'm curious to know, has anybody signed up to be on a mailing list as of yet, Cindy?
There's a handful of people.
I I think I'm just a little concerned that we would start getting a lot of businesses trying to advertise on, I mean, I'm all for promoting events, special, like things that are happening that people can go to. I'm not really sure if I'd want to be advertising for people's businesses, because if you do one, you got to make sure you do others. And I think if we do that, there should be a more charge for that, because you're actually promoting, in a way, other businesses. But otherwise, that's all I really towards that.
I had a similar thought to that. I thought that we would perhaps only do advertising for other municipalities and for service groups, like, you know, women's groups or whatever, fire departments, you know, whatever. That was my thought on that. It's supposed to be a community newsletter and not a flyer that you get in the mail from Canadian Tire, or not that I got anything against Canadian Tire, but my thought is that we'll keep it community oriented, not just our community, but share among other communities, so that people could let us know of what's happening in other communities, like I don't know, skate night or whatever in another area. It could be like a sell products at a craft show or some other organization. That was my thoughts on it. Oh, Cindy.
So if council's okay with it, I will bring forth a motion for the next council meeting, sort of amalgamating all of the ideas. I do have one question in terms of if there were competing events, community events, would we only include our own? Would we include both of them? How would council suggest that we deal with that? So for example, if we had 2 skating nights, one in Calvin, one in Ottawa, I guess, because they have arena there. Would we just put both in?
Personally, I would say yes, but people could attend both. Up to everybody, though, as a group. Any other thoughts?
No, I agree with yeah, we should put them both in, because it's always a choice that people can go where they want to go or not go at all. So, yeah, they should both be in there.
Councilor Cross?
I would think that if there was an event happening in Calvin, that our residents would support local and definitely come out to these events here. So I don't have an issue with, I mean, if the others is, you know, they're paying to advertise, then we are winning that way, and people are informed of what's happening around locally. I'm thinking that, I'm not sure, would we be limiting to who would be able to advertise? Like, are we looking at a certain region only rather than being very broad? Like, are we going to include Powassan and that kind of stuff, or are we going to just do within a certain radius?
Up to us to decide. Yeah.
Well, it's just if we're doing, if we ended up with like everybody doing a skate night on the same night, that would be pretty, a pretty full advertisement, that's for sure.
Cindy?
The information, when we called various municipalities, they limited it to a certain region. So for instance, Miscoming Shores, that's a fairly significant area. There's approximately 20 or 22 small municipalities within a small area, but they consider that their region. So they only allowed advertisements or promotion of events within that area. Bonfield they didn't specify a specific area, but they did say that, you know, it couldn't go beyond sort of Nipissing. So that in most cases, most of the municipalities that allowed it did have restrictions on how far out they would allow people, you know, to advertise within their newsletter.
Nipissing's a pretty large area, Algonquin South. Yeah. I guess I had kind of thought it would be Matawan, Mattawa, Papineau, Cameron, us, and Bonfield. I never really thought about, say, East Ferris. That would kind of consume everybody around us, right? Those groups. North Bay's kind of large. They got a lot of stuff going on there that, oh, it's up to everybody, though. Those are the areas that I was thinking of.
No, that works for me. I hadn't really thought about East Ferris, but the other ones for sure.
Sandy? Oh, Councillor Cross, I mean?
No, I agree. I think we should keep it somewhat within a certain radius. With most of the people that we already, you know, cooperate with, doing other things with already. So we're, you know, supporting each other in other aspects as well. And I do really like the idea of it being in, you know, within a certain time frame. So it gives the office plenty of time to do the extra work that is being put on them now. So having it well prepared is important.
Okay. So is that enough direction, Cindy?
The only other thing would be, how much do you want to charge? Or do you want to charge a range, or?
What was your suggestion, Councillor Shipman?
Well, the electronic advertisements were like $5 for an electronic, but I don't know. I don't know if is that looking at like how many we're sending out electronically, or is that for just the whole thing, or?
Well, considering that we just posted on our website, it would just be for the one. Can't control how many people look at our website,
Right.
So it would be the $5.
Well, since they're the ones that are doing all of the work and getting it fully prepared, and all we would have to do is upload it, I would think that anywhere between $5 and $10 would be more than enough for an electronic one.
And it would be electronic, right? It wouldn't be paper delivered to us that we would have to transfer over to a different format?
No, they should be able to put it on a thumb drive or something and transfer it over. Or
We
even
would request it be provided to us electronically.
Yeah.
Just because we have to be putting it on our website, we have to be AODA compliant. And so if they just handed us a piece of paper, all we could do was scan it, and that's not AODA compliant, so.
Okay.
I also would recommend, as Councillor Shipham indicated, that for the paper copies, so it'd be the $5 charge for the promotion in the electronic version, and then however many copies
Yeah.
we make, charge the 30 cents for us to make the copies, kind of thing. Is that acceptable to council?
Okay. That works for me. How about you, Councillor Cross?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item P, and it's a plan for return to in-person council meetings. So I'll need a mover and a seconder for this. Councillor Cross, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Shipman, can you second it, please?
Yes, I can.
So we have this resolution moved by Councillor Cross, seconded by Councillor Shipman. Be it resolved, Mr. Calvin would like staff to develop a plan for returning to in-person council meetings. Any discussion, Councillor Cross?
I'm in favor of this, with hopefully some guidelines in place. But I'm assuming that Cindy will come with something to the next meeting to say how it would be done or developed or broken down.
Yes. I
Yes,
would develop a
I'm
plan on
for this.
whether we came back
Yeah.
in stages, whether it was like council first, and then it would be open to the public after, yes, it would be a plan that we would develop. I
Yeah,
do have to
no,
say,
I mean-
I promise I would be able to do it for the next council meeting. The goal would be to have it in place for the end of the year, but there's a lot going on right now, so I can't guarantee I'd have it completed by the next.
Okay, no, I'm in favor. I think we need to get back into in-house meetings, and I believe that there's going to be some kinks to figure out, because I definitely would like to keep this still live streamed if we can. So I'm sure there will be some issues with figuring out how to do that. So, yes, that's it.
Councillor Shipman, do you have anything you'd like to say or discuss?
Well, I'm sure that Cindy will come up with whatever plan to bring it back in stages to make it comfortable for everybody. And yeah, we just need to figure out how we're going to continue to live stream so that more people can see what happens on council. And yeah, it would be nice to finally do an in-person meeting instead of being on camera.
Okay, so then I have some concerns with that, but I'll go with the majority. There's talk like today even about by the end of the month, Province of Ontario having 1,000 new cases a day. So it's not going away, honestly. If we're going to do this, we've got to do it very carefully and be very protective of ourselves and others. All right. So saying that, I'm going to call us to a vote and to proceed. Councillor Cross, do you vote yes or no to proceed with this?
Yes.
Okay, and Councillor Shipman?
Yes.
Okay, I'll vote yes as well. Okay, thank you, everybody. Next item on the agenda is item Q. And it is a letter in review, a letter for 2021. We had a copy in our package of the one we had last year, and it was pretty thorough. And it was the highlights of the year, right? So, what's everybody's thoughts? Well, I need a mover on the resolution, please. So, Councillor Shipman, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Cross, can you second it, please?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so we have this resolution moved by Councillor Shipman, seconded by Councillor Cross. Be it resolved, the municipality of Calvin would like to staff to develop a year-in review letter to be included in a December 2021 newsletter. Any discussion, Councillor Shipman?
No, I think it's a great idea to tell everybody what council's been doing for the past year and what we've accomplished and what we're still looking to do.
Okay. Councillor Cross?
No, I think it's a good idea to write the letter.
All right. Are you looking for input, Cindy, or?
Yes, anything that council would specifically like to be included in the letter, it would be more than welcome.
Okay. So I'm going to call this for a vote.
Getting a new fire truck.
Pardon me?
We're getting a new fire truck.
Okay, so let's call this to a vote then. Councillor Shipman, do you vote to move ahead with the letter?
Yes.
And Councillor Cross?
Yes.
And I do as well. So this resolution is also carried. Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is R, okay? And it is a bylaw number 2021-030. It's municipal vaccination policy. And so going to need a mover and a seconder for this one, please. So Councillor Cross, can you move the first reading?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Shipman, can you move the second reading?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So we have, oh, that's the third reading. We already did the first two? Okay. So the third reading then, sorry. Moved by Councillor Cross, second by Councillor Shipman. This is being a bylaw to adopt a policy regarding the vaccination of workers against COVID-19 for the municipality of Calvin. As reported by the Committee of the Whole, to be read a third time, passed on number 2021-030, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. Any discussion, Councillor Cross?
Mayor
No
Fennell,
discussion.
Sorry,
Cindy?
sorry, Councillor Cross, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just so that I can update council on the reason we had deferred it previously. Council wanted to see if there was an alternative to the cost involved in if a council member or employee or volunteer encompassed in the vaccination policy if they did not want to get vaccinated, if, for them to get tested. Originally, the policy had stated that they would need to get tested once a week, and it would be at their cost. However, at our emergency control group meeting, it was mentioned by Fire Chief Maxwell that maybe we could explore a different option. Our CEMC did explore a different option, and he took the appropriate training believe it was last Friday, to be able to administer a rapid antigen test. And we also contacted the Canadian government and received 30 free rapid antigen tests because we qualified to do so. So I have rewritten and highlighted it within the vaccination policy, this section that the municipality is currently eligible to receive rapid tests at no charge and will have a trained employee to administer the test. If the municipal eligibility for the no-cost rapid test is revoked, then the test will need to be undergone at the worker's own cost. So that was the change that I had made based on the information that we now have. All indications are, we will be able to continue to get the free test, but unfortunately, as we all are aware, COVID-19 rules and regulations change quickly. So I didn't want to completely eliminate the aspect of there could be a possibility that there could be a charge. The other thing that I would like to mention is, unfortunately, when I first wrote this, November 30th was about a month and a half away. Now it's only about a half a month away. So I do believe we'll probably have to change this November 30th date. And I just wanted to bring it to council's attention that we should probably change this date. It's up to council, but we should probably change this date in order to allow time for people who are not vaccinated to get. That's all I wanted to say, just an update for council. Thank you.
So for somebody who's not vaccinated, they would get vaccinated, then there's a 2-week waiting period until they can receive their second vaccination, right? And then there's another two-week waiting period until that second vaccination is considered to be active. Is that correct?
And I actually think it's 28 days between doses.
28? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So would December the 31st be a better timeline, or is that even pushing it?
That's sort of the date that I was going to recommend. If council wanted a recommendation from me, we could even push it into January, but.
Whatever you think's doable, Cindy, let's put a date in it that's, that we can meet, and then we'll go for that date.
Okay,
So
one other thing, sorry, that I would like to mention, popped into my head. I also wanted to mention that I'm in the process of arranging a clinic here in Calvin. It's potentially booked for November the 20th, so Saturday, November the 20th. I'm just looking for final confirmation from the health unit. So we're trying to make it as convenient as possible for, and employees, it's open to employees, but it'll also be open to the public as well. So trying to make it as easy as possible for people who want to get vaccinated to get vaccinated.
That's really good news. So what date would you suggest here, Cindy?
My suggestion would be December 31st.
December 31st? Okay, so is that acceptable, Councillor Shipp
Yes.
and Councillor Cross?
Yes.
Okay, it's acceptable to me as well.
And is council okay with the wording of this clause as well?
Yeah. Under the testing? Yes. That's good with me. Councillor Cross?
Yes, it is.
Councillor Shipman?
Yes.
Okay, so those changes are acceptable to everyone, Cindy? So given that, then the third reading would consider those changes, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, the third reading moved by Councillor Cross, second by Councillor Shippen. That this bylaw, being a bylaw to adopt a policy regarding the vaccination of workers against COVID-19 for the municipality of Calvin, as reported by the Committee of the Whole, to be read a third time, passing number 2021-030, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and engrossed in the bylaw book. Any further discussion? Excuse me, Councillor Cross,
No further discussion.
Councillor Shippen.
No further discussion.
Okay, so I'm going to call a third reading to a vote. Councillor Cross, do you vote to proceed in this fashion on the third reading?
Yes, I do.
Councillor Shippen, do you vote to accept the third reading?
Yes.
And I do as well. So this third reading is carried, and this bylaw is carried as well. Thank you, everyone. Next item on the agenda is item number F. And it's a Castle Home for the Aged, the appointment of a new member to the Castle Home Board. Do you want to talk on this, Cindy, or do you want me to do it?
You go ahead.
Okay. So we received a invitation from the Castle Home Board, Jamie Lowry, last, I think Wednesday, asking us if we wanted to appoint someone to the Castle Home Board of Management. And we decided that we'd wait until we got everybody's input tonight on how to proceed with that. I just want to draw everyone's attention to the fact that Councillor Barry Bosch and Mark King, who is, I think he's a co-chair on the Board of Management for Castle Home, both stated publicly that any councillor who is appointed to the Castle Home Board of Management cannot represent their municipality. Okay, they must only represent the Castle Home Board of Management and not really think about their municipality. They have to only consider what's best for Castle Home and not what's best for the municipalities. So, given that, and before we go farther, we're going to get a mover and a seconder for this resolution. Okay. So, Councillor Shippen, can you move this resolution, please?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Cross, can you pass this? Can you second this, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So we have this resolution moved by Councillor Shippen, second by Councillor Cross, that Council hereby appoint someone from the municipality of Calvin, represent the Castle Home, a East Nipissing Home for the Aged, Procurement and Financial Subcommittee. So I need to know from you people if there's anyone interested in doing that. So, Councillor Shippen, your thoughts?
Not a chance.
And
No.
Councillor Cross?
I can't in good conscience do anything of that sort, so no.
All right, so that was my thoughts as well. Okay, so that's the discussion. So we've chosen not to appoint someone from the municipality. So I'm going to call this for a vote just to make sure it's final. Councillor Shippen, do you vote yes or no? To not appoint someone.
To not appoint someone?
That is correct.
To not appoint someone? Yes.
You vote to appoint someone, yes or no?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Counselor Cross, you vote to appoint someone, yes or no? And I vote no as well. So thank you very much. There's one, item T, was a educational piece, and it was an article in the Toronto Star. It was kind of interesting, a little bit comedy in it a little bit. Next item on the agenda is number 7, information letters. Is there anything in there that anyone wants to move further on? Councillor Cross.
No, there wasn't anything there I wanted to support.
Okay. Councillor Shipp?
No.
Okay, I had nothing in there either. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is number 8, information letters available, and there are none. Old and new business, none. Accounts approval report, none. There is no closed portion. There's no business arising from a closed portion. And number 13, notice of motion, I don't believe we have any. So the last item on the agenda is the adjournment for this evening. Excuse me. So we should have a resolution to do that. So I'll need a mover and a seconder for this, please. So Councillor Cross, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. And Councillor Shipman, can you second it?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so we have this resolution moved by Councillor Cross and seconded by Councillor Shipman that this regular meeting of council now be adjourned at 8:26 p.m. Any discussion, Councillor Shipman?
No discussion.
Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Okay, so I'm going to call this a vote on this to adjourn the meeting. Are you in favor of adjourning the meeting at 8:26, Councillor Cross?
Yes.
Councillor Shipman?
Yes.
And I am as well. So the meeting is adjourned. So thanks for everything, everyone. Everyone stay safe, and we'll talk to you all again. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night.